Hi, welcome to Atrocious Gameplay. Today is not necessarily a deck profile at all. It is not deck profile Darkness Ablaze content, but it is Darkness Ablaze PokeBeach earlier today, a couple hours ago, which will be yesterday for everybody watching when the video releases on YouTube. They released the kind of unofficial set list, official but unofficial set list for Darkness Ablaze. Now, there's a couple things to note, but before we do, I just want to real quick be transparent about where my music is coming from. So you're probably hearing some background noise and stuff. I'm listening to it, stream beats, some lo-fi by Harris Heller. Very good content creator, awesome person on YouTube and Twitch. Has created a lot of copyright free music in terms of trying to avoid DMCA strikes that you can play on Twitch streams, YouTube. This is not a sponsor by any means. I just really, if you guys watch our Twitch stream, this is usually when we're playing the Pokemon trading card game, what I'm playing, because I absolutely love this playlist. I love lo-fi, very casual, very nice, very relaxing. So that's just going to kind of be the background music in today's stream. I just kind of want to preface it again. It's copyright free, but I'd feel kind of scummy if I didn't mention, you know, what the music was and give a shout out to this person. So if you want to go listen to it, highly encouraged. Very good for like studying, sleeping, things like that. So anyways, moving into this, Darkness Ablaze, if you do not know, this set is releasing worldwide here in a couple weeks on August 14th, and it is the new set that comes right before the rotation of cards when we go and discard like Ultra Prism, Forbidden Light, Celestial Storm, Lost Thunder, Dragon Majesty, all those sets. Darkness Ablaze will be the next set that releases in the rest of the world. So this is a list. This is not 100%. This is not full set in stone, but it's PokeBeach is like 99 to 98% of the time correct on these things, on these set releases. So I highly encourage that you kind of take this for most of the knowledge that you're going to see and things like that. So just a couple things to kind of preface. Galarian Cursola and Grapplock B have been cut from the set. They're going to be coming in our holiday set in September, which is Legendary Heartbeat. We've covered that on the channel for those of you that may not know. Go check out that video, I guess. The iCard should pop up like right here. But anyways, those two cards will not come in. I don't really see these two cards being super relevant. I do have a Grapplock V deck list ready to test and things like that when Legendary Heartbeat comes a little closer. But in terms of playing it in Darkness Ablaze format, I won't be able to do that. But I do like the full arts. I love this full art, especially with all the colors in the rainbow. Anyways, as previously reported, Gardevoir V and Vmax have moved to our September set. So I know I got a lot of Gardevoir stands in here in our community, whether that is on Twitch or YouTube. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little bit on Gardevoir. It's a little sad, but that's totally all right. And then the full art for ETERNATUS V has been removed from the set and turned into the promo for the premium collection releasing in September as well. You may have heard me talk about the collection boxes on the Metapod and things like that that are coming with an ETERNATUS V full art and then also an ETERNATUS Vmax as well. So this doesn't surprise me all that much. I'm totally okay with this, to be honest. I don't try to play max rarities, so although I do really like the full arts from the Sword and Shield era with the different colors, I think they're better than Sun and Moon. Also, another note, the Struggle Gloves promo, which is also originally Adversity Gloves, will be included in the English set. Dubious canned goods, though, has been cut and is probably going to go into the Legendary Heartbeat. Now, again, likely so it can go with Gardevoir and the Legendary Heartbeat. Not a for sure thing, but it is a psychic card. I forget exactly what it does, but it runs well with Gardevoir V and Vmax as I remember. So again, probably going to come in Legendary Heartbeat to make that set a little bit more beefier, because the English sets are a little bit more beefier than the Japanese sets. So you'll just have to be patient on that, especially my Gardevoir fans over there. Nickit, Absol, Victini, Zygarde, Rotom Phone, and the alternate art of Hop, which I really like this alternate art, by the way. I think this is very good. From the Charizard and Grimmsnarl decks did not make it into our set. So the Charizard and Grimmsnarl decks, kind of the Battle Academy, I think they were. those decks or those cards, those didn't make it into the set. So again, I don't know a lot of people that are playing Hop. It's just draw 3 cards. It's like how we've seen this card again and again and again. I don't really remember this one either, so I don't know if this is going to be super playable. I don't think any of these are super playable. I think they're mostly just featured in the Battle Academy decks, the Charizard and Grimmsnarl decks. But still, for those of you collectors out there, this is something that you'll want to know. And then 2 Rainbow Rares were cut, but we can't completely confirm which ones yet. The only 2 that pair together are Rose and ETERNATUS Vmax due to their correlation in the video games. It would be odd to separate any of these sets' other Rainbow Rares from their full art versions since they feature less important characters. Very, very interesting to note, especially with this new rarity of Rainbow Rare supporters. I don't think we've really seen something like this. I can't remember since at least Unbroken Bonds that they've done something like this where they've held back this. I know like with Zoroark Full Art, I believe they held that back a little bit. But that was a full art, not a rainbow rare. Couple other quick notes to go here. The official English text for ETERNATUS Vmax's ability. This is huge, by the way. This is huge. If all of your Pokemon in play are Dark type, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench. And you can't put non-Dark type Pokemon into play. So, the only way to disactivate this ability, in terms of like if we got a Power Plant type of card where it shuts off V and Vmax's abilities, maybe in like expanded, you know, you play like a Garbodor or a Alolan Muck, this essentially would come into the effect of you discard your bench until you have 5 like a normal playing field. But this is very interesting because you have to put 8 Pokemon and then you're stuck in that until the ability is turned off or the Pokemon is knocked out essentially. So you can't just do like, you can't have, you know, 7 Pokemon and then if you put a Dedenne down after the effects of the Dedenne you discard until you have 5. That's not how that works. You cannot even play Dedenne if you're gonna run a ETERNATUS Vmax, utilize the ability in full force. Which is also very interesting. I think that kind of hinders ETERNATUS Vmax a little bit, but I know people like Andrew Mahone and Tricky Jim and JW have been kind of working with trying to make it an all dark deck to make it maximized to not have to utilize the Dedenne at all or any other non-dark Pokemon cards. Anyways, going into this, since the first time since 2012's Next Destinies, theme decks will feature reprinted Pokemon. Galarian Surfetch and Galarian Darmanitan both come from Rebel Clash, but feature new artwork. This artwork hasn't even been seen in Japan, so very, very interesting that they're doing this. New artwork, this is something, as PokeBeach mentioned, very, very uncommon in terms of how Pokemon usually does their sets and things like that. So I think that this is very, very cool. Interesting also that the Zen one is featured on this deck box, but pretty cool for collectors. We don't know the contents inside of them, but we do know this. Now, what most people are probably wondering about, especially if you're a collector, Japan's trophy promos of the Full Art Charizard V and Rainbow Rare Charizard VMAX were never going to be in this set. Again, this is something we know, this is something we have known, but just want to preface that again. So PokeBeach is saying this, that it is unlikely the 2 promos will release in English anytime soon, if at all. And if you're wondering like, wow, like why would they do that? Charizard is literally the poster child of Pokemon. Past tournament trophy cards have never been released in English, especially when they come out in Japan. So that's a big reasoning why people are thinking maybe we'll never see these Charizards ever again if you do not know. Personally, I think that Charizard is one of those Pokemon that it's silly not to release in English. I think it's just silly not to, or I guess the rest of the world, because it is such a high collector. It's a huge reason, you know, you see all these like YouTube videos and stuff from like past sets where it's like, oh, we're Charizard hunting, all this stuff. You know, it's a huge reason why people like buy product and open up packs is to get those big hits like that. But I guess if we don't get it, we don't get it. There's nothing we can really do about it. So I really don't care, but I think it's something to note that it's speculated that we're not going to get a Charizard at all in terms of the Rainbow VMAX and the Full Art Vmax, which is a shame because this Full Art with the pinks and the purples and the blue is actually pretty good looking. I really like this card. The VMAX, Rainbow, whatever. You guys know how I feel about Rainbow Rares. I don't really like them too much. I like more colors in terms of cohesive colors, not just a mash of colors. Anyways, going into the pre-release promos, this released yesterday. You may have seen on my Twitter, on the Metapod Twitter, things like that. The pre-release promos were revealed. We've got Decidueye, we have Arctozolt, we have Hydreigon. Hydreigon. I don't know how to say this Pokemon's name, but anyways, this one right here. And then also Kangaskhan as our pre-release promos. Now, these three right here, Hydreigon, Arctozolt, and Decidueye, are probably the best ones, I would think. I think if you're going to go out and buy pre-release promos, these are the ones that you're going to want to get, right? Because I think people are kind of sleeping on this card right here, the Hydreigon. I think this is very, very good. This is like Deluge Blastoise. So if you can get this out effectively and in time in the format, I think that this could be really, really good because dark types, you know, they're getting a lot of energy acceleration. They're getting a lot of support. So there's plenty of different ways that you can build dark decks going forward. Arctozolt, I know people like the Slowpoke well. I know that he's been playing around with Arctozolt. When your opponent attaches an energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. I think this is a very, very cool card. I think this is very, very good. I think it's really, really neat. But I don't know if it'll be used too much in my personal opinion. And then Decidueye, I don't think we really have to go over Kangaskhan. I don't think it's that good. Decidueye, this is one that people I think are most excited about. At least I am, because Decidueye is one of my favorite Pokemon. But prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's V and GXs. This also includes VMAXs. So it's a wall card. It's pretty good. 90 and then 20 is not super great, but there's a lot of different ways that people have been pairing stuff up with Darkness Ablaze decks and also Legendary Heartbeat decks. So be excited for that to come. Now, going over this, we have looked over a lot of these cards. So this video is mainly going to be me kind of looking at all the different cards to note like, okay, this one is coming. Maybe a quick refresher, but I'm not going to go through every single card like I have in previous videos about deck lists because we've kind of already looked over all these cards before, if that makes sense. Okay, so going on in, Butterfree Vmax, 2 grass, colorless, max poison, wind, 150 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned and confused. Pretty interesting. I don't know if it can do enough damage. I feel like the better attackers right now in the format are like Rillaboom VMAX or like Rowlet Executor, that type of thing. But the energy acceleration is there because of a card like the Baby Rillaboom that we saw as a promo in the Sword and Shield set. So kind of going through now, trying to see. I hate these Pokemon. I really do. The Rowlet. So this art, by the way, I love this art. I need this in a PSA 10. Anyways, the ability, if you play Birdkeeper from your hand during this turn, ignore all energy costs attached to this Pokemon, which is really nice because it's triple colorless otherwise. So you'll be able to do the 60 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Pretty good for setup in my personal opinion. And then the Decidueye, here's the regular art. I prefer the pre-release promo, but I do like this art. Also the Dartrix, very good. I love the blue in the setting in that card. So kind of moving on, we do have a Golisopod that is here. Adversity / 2 colorless, a twin energy. 30 and then 50 more for each of your opponent's V and GX Pokemon in play. I think this also includes VMAXs. So that is very, very interesting in my personal opinion. You could do a lot of damage personally, I feel like, with this card. So maybe Golisopod is a card that kind of comes in and is sort of like a rogue deck, you know, for the for some of those out there, but I'm not 100% sure how good that card could be. Charizard VMAX, if you do not know, 3 colorless Claw Swipe, 100 damage, 3 fire, 2 colorless GMAX Wildfire, 300 damage, discard 2 energies. You may have seen my deck profile on YouTube. That'll be linked right up here. of this deck kind of facing off against ADP Zacian with my good friend Trey. I highly encourage that you watch that video. You may be able to do something different with the deck list that maybe is even better than what I was showcasing. Houndoom V. I like this card. I like Houndoom as a Pokemon. Three fires, 1 colorless, Vengeful Flame, 100 plus damage. If your bench fire Pokemon have any damage counters on them, it does 100 more. So very interesting in my personal opinion, especially because we're getting into closer and closer to a 2-shot format. How Pokemon have kind of 2 turns of being attacked before they're knocked out. I think maybe you could utilize Houndoom V in like almost in like an ability deck. You know, if you have Charizard Vmax and it's almost like an ability Zard deck, maybe then you could utilize it. But I feel like you'd have to pair these two for sure, because, you know, it's a 3. That's all it takes is like a 2 and a welder 2 plus attachment. And this guy can really tank in some hits. So that's how I kind of feel that card being utilized. Now, a dual typing. We haven't seen this for a while in the Pokemon TCG. You may have forgotten about this Blaziken Stage 2. This Pokemon is both fire and fighting. Very cool in my personal opinion, especially with Eternatus coming out that is going to be weak to fighting types. So very cool. The fire, colorless, 130 damage attached to a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Only does 260. Doesn't knock out a Vmax. That's how I kind of see this being more utilized. It does knock out a Pikarom though, if Pikarom becomes pretty prevalent. Does knock out things like Tapu Koko V, Boltund V. I'm not 100% sure what Vica Volt is weak to, Vica Volt V, so we'll have to see on what that is. But kind of cool. It is a stage 2 though. 170 stage 2. Pretty beefy, but not like super beefy like we see some other stage 2s. Now, continuing on, let's see what else is here. Here's the Galarian Darmanitan, a fire Pokemon with water energy, so I think that is very interesting. 110, discard all the water energies if you do 60 more damage, effectively 170. Now, this doesn't hit for water on like a Charizard Vmax, so you wouldn't be able to knock out a Charizard Vmax due to weakness. This is only fire damage, so I guess this would be good if like Rillaboom or Rowlet Executor decks become like super prevalent. Although at that point, why don't you just make it a fire deck? I don't know. Very interesting card though that I kind of wanted to touch on. Talonflame. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged from an attack of an opponent's Pokemon, even if it's knocked out, the opponent's active Pokemon is burned. Now this is a stage 2. I don't know if 120 is enough to really make it super effective, but something to look over. Scorch Vmax, a card that people are really hyping up. 2 colorless. That's it. Just 2 colorless. 40 plus damage. This attack does 40 more damage for each fire energy attached to the Pokemon. You may attach a fire energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon after calculating the damage. So, like I do a welder, triple acceleration, boom, I'm hitting that damage, and then after I do the damage, I accelerate the fire energy onto my Pokemon, which is very cool. It doesn't say basic fire energy, so you could maybe use the special energy that is coming here very soon. I'm not 100% sure. Galarian Mr. Rhyme. Once during your turn, you may choose one of your opponent's face down prize cards with the top of their deck, and boom, both cards remain face down. Very interesting. If Jirachi Prism was still going to be prevalent, maybe you could try to do this. I'm not 100% sure. But I guess they would have to do something like Mewtwo or a Rangaroo. Probably more prevalent with the Unbroken Bonds Mewtwo, I would personally say. Now, Melodic, once during your turn, heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Not necessarily too great, in my personal opinion, but it is a little bit of healing. Here's the Darmanitan. So we already know what the Darmanitan was because it is a reprint from Rebel Clash. Not a card that I think you really need to be interested in unless you're collecting. This Vanillite art is also beautiful. The artwork in this set is very beautiful. We went kind of into a deeper dive of the art if you want to go check out the video from the Darkness Ablaze set list. Also, Vanilluxe. Once during your turn, if this is your active Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's Pokemon is now paralyzed. Now, this is 2 retreat costs, which pairs well with Air Balloon. But I don't know, because we're so prevalent in like Scoop Up Net, Switch, Mallow and Lana. Birdkeeper Toby, a card that is coming soon. I don't know if this this card is super relevant in my personal opinion. I would love it for it to be, but I just don't think so. So if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon. This is very, very interesting in my personal opinion. If Boss's Orders wasn't a card, this would be way, way better. But because Boss's Order is a thing, I'm not 100% sure that this will see a lot of use. I would love to see it be used though. Very, very cool card. Okay, Vica Volt. It is weak to Lightning, so that's good. It is weak to Lightning, like I was mentioning possibly earlier. People are hyping this up because of Paralyzing Bolt, 50 damage during your opponent's next turn. They can't play any item cards. We have an item lock type of card in the format. I know my friend Gyroshan has already done a couple videos with Vica Volt, so make sure to go check him out. Shout out to him. I do the Metapod with him as well. A lot of you have probably heard him. An 190 damage, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Not too bad in my personal opinion, not too bad. So we'll see how that card kind of evolves in the meta right now. Now, Toxtricity. This is a card that some people are excited about as a mill deck risk taker. Flip a coin. If heads, discard 5 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. If tails, discard 5 from your deck. So it comes with some risk and reward. We are within rotation going to be losing a Rangaroo, that card for mill decks. So that'll be very interesting how the mill and control decks really adjust to that. But this is kind of cool. We are getting a stadium that allows the re-coin flips, and then also we have a card like Will from Cosmic Eclipse that allows you to control your next coin flip. So this could be a very, very interesting card with paired up with something like Lieutenant Surge and Belelba and Bryson Man. You could do a lot of milling instead of maybe putting in a Mewtwo and Mew in your list and pair it up with Macargo GX. Maybe all you have to do is just evolve into a Toxtricity Vmax, and then boom, you could double Belelba, do this for 5 possibly, 5 more to do 11 total, and there's your finisher. But now you can do up to 11 per turn, which is what makes this card really dangerous in my personal opinion. Really like gives your opponent not too much time at all. This Pincurchin art is very cute. It's not that good of a card, don't worry about it, but in my opinion it's pretty cute. Draco Zolt, not as good as Arctozolt. We already went over this card. It is one of the pre-release promos, but a very, very interesting card that people are playing around with. Mew V. This is a card that's coming in that came in the starter decks in Japan. Not necessarily that great of a card. It is X-Ball, 30 times the amount of energy attached to the opponent's active Pokemon. Not necessarily super great in my personal opinion, especially because it is weak to dark. I don't see that Mew being played too much in my personal opinion. Continuing down the line, we have this Dedenne with Mad Party. Mad Party, we know that. It's kind of like the new Night March coming in. This Mimikyu, Heal Stop. Your opponent's bench Pokemon can't be healed. This could be a cool one of tech in certain decks. I'm interested to see. I think this negates Mallow and Lana's healing because it is you switch first and then you heal. So then technically the Pokemon that is trying to be healed would be a bench Pokemon. So I'm really curious to see how this card affects kind of the meta. So going on, Poltergeist. This is the Mad Party Pokemon. Does work with the twin energy right here. T-Break, you may discard a Pokemon that has Mad Party attack from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. So the thing that made Night March so relevant was something like Battle Compressor. Now with Poltergeist, it has a way to effectively discard Pokemon as well and draw more cards. You know, we have a lot of discarding options, whether that is, you know, tag team supporters. You know, you have to discard cards to use the second effect. We have Professor's Research. We have Dedenne. We have Quick Ball. We have a whole bunch of discarding options for certain cards. Aurora Energy is another good one. You probably wouldn't utilize that with this deck because of Twin Energy with the 2 colors, but 20 times for each Mad Party attack Pokemon in your discard pile. Very, very cool. People are hyped about it. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it could be a lot of fun in terms of a rogue deck, in my personal opinion. Flygon, I don't necessarily see this being very, very good. Maybe it's just one of those decks that come up because ETERNATUS Vmax is weak and Vica Volt V is another popular deck. So maybe it's just one of those, but Desert Geyser 130 if the stadium play, discard it, and then prevent all damage and effects done to this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. So this is very, very interesting because we're in such a heavy stadium meta right now. This could be a card that is pretty usable, although if your opponent doesn't play a Reply Stadium, maybe you play a lot of stadiums in your list, so then you can constantly try to utilize like Guzma or something to constantly get out of stadium, and then boom, slap those puppies on and do way more damage and prevent effects of attacks later. But I don't know how much that this card is going to be used. Very, very cool interaction though, in my personal opinion. Rhyperior V, a card that some people have built deck lists around, although I don't think it's that great. 210 damage during your next turn. Can't use the heavy rock artillery, which is what this attack is called. So you can't do 210 2 times in a row unless you do like what Zacian does, and you do like a double switch or something like that. You have multiple attackers. 4 is pretty high in my personal opinion. You could utilize this with an engine like Welder. So pretty interesting. I think it's similar to Flygon, where it's just going to be a deck that could be relevant because of the weakness factor. There's the Surf Fetch right there. We already know about that. Galarian Slowbro V, once during your turn. This is your active Pokemon. You may leave your opponent's Pokemon poison. I'm curious how this affects into Toxtricity VMAX or in its own deck. I don't think the attack is super good. Let's not worry about that, and let's just continue on. Crobat V, if you don't know about this card yet and you're interested in the Pokemon trading card game in terms of competitive, you probably have been living under a rock. It's the ability of Shaman, except you can only do it once per turn. Put it down on the bench, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Very, very good card. Very, very consistent engine. As well, Darkrai, if it has Dark Energy attack to it, take 20 less damage from attacks. Pair it with the Hydreigon that we mentioned earlier as a promo. You could prevent a lot of attacks. It only has 120 HP though, so I don't know how good this could be. This could be good with the Cape. I can't actually remember 100% what the card is called, but it boosts, I think, 30 more health. So pair it up with that, some Dark Energies, could be pretty interesting as a one prizer personally. Hydreigon, again, we talked about this card. Cool art though. This Hoopa, people are actually kind of excited about this Hoopa. Assault Gate, if this Pokemon wasn't moved from your bench to the active spot during your turn, this attack does nothing. So, this is very, very interesting in my personal opinion. This is like a Pokemon that you start out with in a dark deck. Like you start in your active, or somebody gusts up to stall. I don't know. People have been playing around with this. It's not like its own deck. I think it's been like a 1 or 2 of. But very interesting interaction with the clause of this attack does nothing. Very, very interesting. Grimmsnarl VMAX. We haven't seen this card in a while, so let's refresh ourselves about what this is. 330 HP Dark Pokemon. 3 energies, Gmax Drill, 170 plus. 50 more damage for each extra Dark Energy attached to the Pokemon, but not used for the pay of attack. Very, very interesting. Again, you'll need multiple energies, so you'll undoubtedly, I feel like, use this with a Hydreigon engine with the Dark Squall ability. I don't know if this is the best Dark VMAX deck, as Eternatus Vmax is arguably the best one. If you don't know what this is, it's a very good VMAX Dark Pokemon, especially with Dragapult running around a lot. If your Pokemon in play are Dark type, all the Pokemon in play on your side of the field, you may have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench, but like we mentioned earlier, You can't put dark Pokemon onto the field if this ability is active unless it is shut off. And then Dread End, a dark and colorless, 30 times damage. This attack does 30 damage for each of your dark Pokemon in play. Very, very cool. Scizor, we've seen this a little bit. Metal Pokemon have a lot of help in terms of like the different tools that you can use. Metal Saucer. 190, I don't really see this being too prevalent unless like Alcremie becomes the bee's knees. Sure, whatever. Going on, Agron, it does have the sturdy ability, which is cool. We have seen some rogue decks like Donphan utilize the sturdy ability and some other things like Last Chance Potion, but I'm pretty sure that Last Chance Potion is rotating, so you won't be able to utilize it in that sense. You'll have to find out another way. But I don't really feel like it's going to be used too much. Galarian Stunfisk. Some of my friends have been hyping this card up, so let's kind of see, if you don't know what this Pokemon does. This Pokemon gets 20 plus HP for each mental energy attached to it. You could effectively, as a 2-prizer, become very, very beefy, in my personal opinion, when comboed with like a Full Metal Wall GX. Maybe some other cards as well. Trapping Bite, 60 damage during your opponent's next turn. If this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, even knocked out. 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Very, very interesting. Very, very cool. 60 damage might not seem like a lot, and it's not. But as a beefy Pokemon, possibly, this could not be that bad. 12 damage counters is a lot. You could soften something up with 12 damage counters in your opponent's active, and then the next turn bring up a like a Zacian or something to finish it off. It does have a 4 retreat cost, so you will have to utilize a switch, Mallow Mana, things like that. But very, very cool card in my personal opinion. I'm excited to see kind of what's going on in the future with that. Dunsparce, I love Dunsparce. This Pokemon is knocked out by damage from its opponent's attack. Discard 2 cards from your opponent's deck. Very, very cool. Could be featured in Toxtricity. Maybe not the main thing, but Salamon's VMAX, another card that people are excited about or trying to make work. Sonic Double, this attack does 40 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness or resistance to the bench. And then 4 colorless, Max Wings, 240 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Max Wings. The thing that I've seen a lot with this deck is that it just struggles to get going, right? Especially with that second attack. It does good setup. It's very good at doing setup with the 40 damage, but getting the 4 energies on is kind of a little tough. So I'm curious to see how people look into this, if people can make this work and super relevant. I'd love to see that. Going into Starly with Sky Circus, if you played Birdkeeper from your hand, ignore the energy attack cost, search your deck for 2 cards, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. We've seen kind of that attack before, we've seen this ability before on the Rowlet. Cool to see it again, but Brave Bird, 170, 30 to itself. 170 is a lot, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about this. Hurricane Mixer, though, is interesting. You may move as many energy cards attached to your Pokemon as you'd like to any of your other Pokemon. So a way to kind of move things around, if you've noticed maybe a spread deck or something, you know, your opponent's focusing energy on one Pokemon. I don't see this card to be super played though, in my personal opinion. Swanna, if you play Birdkeeper, ignore all energy costs. This is a stage 1, this is an evolution. We can ignore the 70 plus damage. Pretty interesting, but again, I don't really see it played too much. Continuing going, Greedent. This is a card that I've actually seen in some decks. Believe it or not. Hit and run, 100 damage, return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. Pretty cool. You put something like Decidueye in this deck, it puts up a wall. They can't maybe attack any, they can't really do anything. So very interesting. It's definitely rogue. But very interesting in my personal opinion. Moving on to the trainers now, we're seeing Big Parcel, which is as long as this Pokemon is attached to in the active spot, prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon. So that is just effects. That is not straight up damage. That is very interesting in my personal opinion. I think that this would block Salamence, right? Because it is an effect. This is an effect, the 40-2 Pokemon. So that is very, very interesting. Billowing Smoke, knocked out from damage from your opponent's Pokemon. Discard the prize cards instead of putting them into your hand. Very, very cool for your to kind of, you know, maybe like mill out your opponent a little bit. I don't know. But very, very interesting. This could be a cool card that people try to utilize. Birdkeeper Toby, switch your Pokemon, and if you do, draw 3 cards. Very, very cool. Cape of Toughness, that's what it was called that I was referring to earlier. Excluding Pokemon GXs, get 50 HP, not 30 like I mentioned earlier, 50. I apologize for that. Familiar Bell, if you search for a Pokemon with the same name as your opponent in your discard, search for your deck for a Pokemon with the same name as a Pokemon in the discard pile, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. This will be really good for one prizers, right? Because one prizers will get knocked out. One prizers you're probably playing 4 of, so you may discard one. Pretty interesting. Glimwood Tangle, this is the coin flip stadium that I referred to earlier. Once during each player's turn, you may reflip coins for an attack, which is very, very interesting, which factors into Toxtricity Vmax. You will not be able to reflip for something like Crushing Hammer. It is just for attacks. Very, very interesting in my personal opinion. Kabu, shuffle, draw 4. If you have only one Pokemon in play, draw 8 instead. So really weird card. I don't know if we've ever seen something like that before, but I don't think it would be utilized unless it's the beginning of the game. Old PC, this is a very, very cool card. It's basically like, what was that, a spec? Dowsing Machine. It's almost like Dowsing Machine, except it's any card that you want. So very, very cool in my personal opinion. Peers, search your deck for an energy card and a dark Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand. I've seen this as kind of like a one-of in some lists. I haven't seen much of this card, only just people are excited about the secret rare version of it, I guess. Choose up to 2 Pokemon and play for each of those Pokemon. Search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon and put it on your Pokemon to evolve. This could be utilized in something like I mentioned, pairing the Greedent and also the Decidueye. There you go. You can just evolve a Squova into a Greedent and then maybe a Dartrix into a Decidueye, which is very, very cool in my personal opinion. We got the rare fossil, different from unidentified fossil, which is good to note. 70 HP, basic Pokemon, very bulky in my personal opinion. And then you can discard it at any time in play. Rose, this is something that is being paired with ETERNATUS Vmax. Search your attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon Vmax. If you attach any cards in this way, discard your hand. So very, very interesting in my personal opinion. There is a stadium, I believe, like this one, Rose Tower, that is going to be paired with, which is a really good segue actually, now that I think about it coming into it. Once during each player's turn, that player may draw cards until they have 3 in their hand. This would be a really good combo with doing all the things that you need to do in a turn. Then going into Rose to evolve, discarding your entire hand after that. Or I'm sorry, attaching energies and then discarding your hand. And then you use Rose Tower to draw 3 cards. We've seen kind of a draw 3 cards ability like a Rangaroo from the Sun and Moon base set, which was very, very good and very, very prevalent. So very, very cool. Spike Month, when a player's active Pokemon moves from the bench, or moves from the bench during their turn, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Very, very cool in my personal opinion. Struggle Gloves. This Pokemon is attached to it, has weakness from your opponent's active Pokemon's type. So it does 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is kind of a counter. So let's say that you still want to play ETERNATUS Vmax, but there's just this fighting rogue deck that is just always obliterates you, you know. This could be the way that you knock out like an opposing fighting Vmax, for an example, or maybe a fighting V. You know, maybe whether you face Colossal Vmax, Rhyperior V, this could be a good counter, I guess. This could be a decent card to maybe tech in to help that math. I don't know how the math works. I've never tested it, but could be very, very interesting in my personal opinion. Yellowhorn, both active Pokemon are now confused. Whatever. Turbo Patch, Flip a coin, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to your Pokemon that are not GXs. Very interesting. We have the 3 special energies, which is the Heat Energy, Heat Fire, provides fire energy, and the Pokemon it is attached to gets 20 more HP. So this is any Pokemon. This is any Pokemon, but you can attach it. You can attach it to any Pokemon and it provides fire energy. But what I mean is, if it is a fire Pokemon that you attach it to, it gets 20 more HP. Pair that up with Charizard Vmax. That's a beefy boy. That's a beefy boy. Anyways, Hiding Energy, the Dark Energy. Free Retreat if attached to a Dark Pokemon, provides Dark Energy. And then Powerful Colorless Energy. Attacks of colorless Pokemon. This is attached to do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. Very, very cool. Seeing that with Togekiss that is coming in Legendary Heartbeat. Seeing that with Salamence lately. And it'll be interesting to see what everything else is paired with. Here are all the secret rares. If you want, I will link the site. Here's all the products actually as well that are scheduled to come out that we've known. If you want to kind of take a look at that. But if you want to take a look at all the secret rares that are in the set or the full arts, as I will be doing here very, very soon, you can check out the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but still a very, very good video. Also, the Metapod is coming up. Just a real quick plug as we're ending the video. The Metapod is a podcast about the Pokemon TCG that I do with Gyroshan. Releases every Tuesday morning at about like 11 a.m. noon Eastern time. That's around when they've been coming out. I think that's kind of what best fits our schedule. Whatever podcasting platform you like, any of these, you can utilize it and listen to us on. I prefer Apple Podcasts, but I've also listened on Spotify during the times, because I always listen back to these episodes to make sure that, you know, how I can improve the podcast with Sean. But also, you can just copy the RSS feed. You can just click right here, copy the RSS feed, and if your favorite thing is not listed here, you can input the RSS feed and be able to listen to us. We also have a Twitter. If you want to go check us out on Twitter, boom. Super awesome. Thank you guys for the support that has come out lately. The 7th episode, which is releasing, it should have probably actually already released, so you should be able to hear it now. But we had a guest on there, really good guest, really great person in the Pokemon trading card game. Very awesome episode. Highly encourage you to listen to it. And final plug, make sure to go check us out, twitch.tv/atrociousgameplay, for the live streams, hanging out with our community that we got here on Twitch. So, I say to you guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys and gals have a great day. It was awesome to see you. Hope you're excited. I'm so excited for Darkness Ablaze. I've been doing deck profiles already. I've been talking to some people about possibly doing more deck profiles on the channel, whether that's Untapped, Tabletop Simulator, things like that. So excited. I'm so excited. I really want Darkness Ablaze to come out really soon. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you again soon in another video. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Anyways, I'll see you later. Have a great day. You look cute today. We're not very good at video games, but we have a fun time doing it. I'm excited for the card games.